j.league 実況 Winning 11.
Welcome back to another Gaming Memories video. Here we are taking a look at J.League Winning 11 that was actually released in 1995 by Konami on the PlayStation. This would have actually been an early enough title in the PlayStation's life cycle, and this here was actually one of the early adaptations of what would later become the ISS Pro, or what's currently now known today in modern gaming on modern consoles as the Pro Evolution Soccer series. So this would have been one of the early versions of those games. And now I heard, I remember playing ISS Pro 98. I've actually done a previous video on that. I'll leave a link in the description so you can check that out. And that there is probably my most favourite football game of all time. I actually love that game. But it's interesting to see the adaptations of how the games changed over the few short years during the mid-90s when these games were released. And it's funny because I didn't realise that there was so many other games outside of Europe, because the PlayStation has an absolute ton of soccer games, all from different developers. But I didn't realise up until recently, till I was researching all these games, the Winning 11 series, even though it is the ISS Pro or Pro Evolution series, but it was named Winning 11 in Japan. But they made a boat ton of these games for the PlayStation. It's incredible the amount of games that they actually made, and this here was one of the earliest titles, if not the earliest title in that lineup. And it's interesting, like I said, to see the differences between the games that came out later, like when I played ISS Pro 98 compared to this here. You can get some familiarities from playing the game, but you can definitely see that it's very different. It's not as fluent to play as ISS Pro 98. There's definitely a lot more things to do in it. You have to be more aware of what's going on. You don't have full control of everything. Like with ISS Pro, you can actually literally, if you have a really good player, the likes of Ronaldo back in the day, you could literally take the ball and literally just run the length of the pitch and dribble the ball around a ton of players. You definitely cannot do that in this year. This year kind of reminds me more like the actual soccer and FIFA series of games. You'd have the ball for a little while, but it wouldn't be long being taken off you. And even if you did have control of the ball, even if you won a tackle, it's very, very hard to pick the ball back up to try and gain the possession back again. So you're constantly scrambling, trying to get the ball back so that you can do something with it. I found here when I was playing it, literally all I had to do was just kick the ball up the field and just hope for the best. That's literally all I was doing. But I have to say, it actually was quite fun, but it is pretty cool to see an early version of the ISS Pro games, of what they actually look like. Again, there's tons of soccer games on the PlayStation. It's absolutely incredible the amount of games that that came out on it, and especially in Japan there was an unbelievable amount of games that came out. And again, these ones here now, the Winning 11, even though the ISS Pro games are more based on international teams, in Japan they did have different variations where they focused on not just international teams, but they did separate games for it. But these here focused on league or club teams, which was actually pretty cool. But again, it's a difficult game to master. Now I was lucky enough, I will admit, to actually win this game as I was playing it when I was recording the video, but not without it testing me. But it was really fun. I have to say, I really enjoyed it. And it's for me, it's old school kind of hardcore kind of games at its best, and it just shows you, as you can see here, the goal is scored there. It came out of nothing. That's to say, these games here, you don't have full control of what's going on. Anything can happen. You can never hold on to the ball for more than 2 seconds without someone actually getting it off you. It's very, very hard to keep the ball in the game. But even when I look in terms of the graphics, when you look at the likes of the pitch and the ball itself, for a game that came out in 1995, actually looks really good. Now, even though the graphics and the characters were reminiscent of the time period, but you can see even in the space of 2 or 3 years on how much they changed, and how the fluidity of the game and how the structure of the game has actually changed as the developers started to create more, because it definitely became more simulation, whereas this here was definitely had more of an arcade type feel to it. but it was definitely a lot of fun, I have to admit, like actually playing it. And it is interesting to see these type of games in action, because I didn't even realise these games here didn't even existed. So it shows here, even as bad and old as I am, I still managed to score a decent goal. So yeah. But like I said, I actually had a good laugh actually playing this here. It's actually quite a good game. It is tough. It is really tough, but it was fun. Now the only thing is the language barrier, because with it being all in Japanese, it's impossible to know unless you speak the language exactly what's going on. But again, football's football. You literally just kick the ball up the field and just, if you have any bit of skill or just hope. In these older games, you just had to literally kick and hope for the best. So that was usually the way that I played games, and most of the people would have played games back in those days. But still, they were quite fun. And games like this here, that's why I do really love the PlayStation so much, because it had so much of everything. There was so many different variations of similar games, and yes, there was some good, there was some not so good, there was some fantastic, but that was the fun of it all. You had to experience it to believe it, basically. So you did, and if you did happen to enjoy it, you're one of the lucky ones to really actually, get the most out of it. So that's the saying, like I will be actually exploring more of these type of games, because I did have a blast actually playing this one here. So there is a lot more games in this series, especially in the Japanese versions of games. So I will definitely be playing more of these games and sharing more videos with them. So make sure to keep an eye out for that as well, just to see because I want to show the differences between the different variations of the game and how the games have changed over the years, and see what everyone thinks of them. Because even at that, a lot of people probably don't even know that most of these games even existed, but they are really fun. So what did you think of this video? Did you enjoy it? And did you actually even know about this game, or this early adaptation of the Asus Pro series? And if so, did you actually even get to play it back in the day? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below, and see what you think of the game. So if you have enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like. Also subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to be updated whenever I release future content, and also feel free to share the video. And as always, make sure to keep playing all those classic games and enjoying them, and keep those gaming memories alive.